pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, welcome to our July meeting of Miami Township Board of Trustees, and we will take roll call, please.
Mr. Blanton.
Here.
Mr. Robinson.
Here.
You can ask for
What?
Jack. Ask for Jack.
Mr. Reiniger.
Yeah, Jack is excused. He has a family emergency, and I'll just leave it at that.
Answer.
I ask for the approval of July 6th minutes and the special minutes that we have.
You're moving or you're asking for a motion?
I'm just asking.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the July 6th and special minutes.
All right, I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Blanton.
Yes.
Mr. Robinson.
Yes.
And I'll also ask for a motion for approval of expenditures from June 16th through July 20th,
I will make,
2022.
sorry. I will make a motion to approve the expenditures from June 16th through July 20th of 2022.
I'll second that also.
Okay, Mr. Blanton.
Yes.
Mr. Robinson.
Yes.
All right, we'll start our meeting with our administrator, Mr. Reid.
Thank you. Sorry I was a little late this week. I was under the weather with the reports and things, and I did add an addendum to my report this afternoon. We had a meeting of the Southwest Ohio Township Administrators this morning, which is a very unique and rare group of local administrators, which is only 3 in the state of Ohio, where the local administrators get together and talk about our local things. And so we met, and one of the topics, interestingly enough, was about the homeless population in the townships and how that is growing. And so there were several reasons that were discussed in this meeting, and what we're hoping to do is give our boards a letter to get state support to help us with dealing with the homeless population, because as you know, we do have a homeless population in our community, which was highlighted recently. I know it was in the village of Cleves, but that's all a global thing. And the factors that we discussed, and I'll try to be brief, but this is just one of the many things that we discussed, is when the CARES Act went through, they went and put the homeless population into hotels and also provided meals for them. And some of these hotels were in townships. Columbia Township is a prime example. And when the CARES Act funding for the social services ran out, they gave them 24 hours to get out of the hotel and provided and said, oh, and we're not buying meals for you anymore. And said, basically, you're out. You're out. And so, and didn't provide any transportation anywhere. I mean, all your stuff's right there on the streets. And so obviously that caused issues where townships had to put extra police protection on, they had to have extra garbage pickup and all that, which costs a lot of money. The second part of it is, and it's something that we deal with here in this township, as you know, is limited license corporations that are buying up properties in our areas, putting a few dollars into it and renting those properties. And what has happened is, number one, on a 3-to-1 ratio, those are our abatements that we're paying for. 3-to-1 ratio. And I can tell you Mount Nebo is a prime example, right, in Mr. Renninger's neighborhood, that we've been there 6 times on nuisance, and it's an LLC out of California. And so we talked about that. The other part that's contributing to the homeless from that end is, yeah, they pay $30,000 for the house, and this is what's costing them, and they're doubling the rent. And so that is exacerbating the whole situation where you've got a family who's on a fixed income that is now, out there. And I know this sounds like a speech and all of that. It's really not, but it's just the stuff that we brought up, including, which we also have in our township, people losing their property to these heavy rains that we've been getting along creeks and things like that. And is there anything at the state level? Yeah, you always have FEMA, but you all know how that goes sometimes. But is there any funding in the state level that we can help homeowners apply for that would help? For example, in Anderson, they have a $600,000 house that's slipping into a creek, and they have, a $60,000 house that gets flooded and the basement gets flooded. So those are some of the things. I just want to let you know what we're doing locally as administrators to petition you to get your support and some of the things that we talk about going forward. It was fortunately my first meeting, and it was a very productive one. And I just wanted to keep you up to date, and I'll give you guys.
So do you guys have this quarterly?
We actually have them bi-weekly, and it's always on our trustee meeting morning.
Oh, that's good.
So, so our next one obviously is August 3rd, I think is our August 3rd or 4th.
Yes.
Yeah, and that will actually be in person, so that was Zoom today,
Okay.
but we're gonna go back to doing it in person.
Two things. One, thank you for attending. I think that this was another good reason to have an administrator, because now you can network and bring back these kind of ideas and feedback and all that. And that I know that I talked to State Senator Bill Blessing, and he's been working on that issue, because I know in Coleraine specifically, but really, like you said, all the communities, these from New York or LA or wherever are coming in and essentially making a VRBO or bed and breakfast out of these homes, but they're not paying the taxes and abiding by all the rules and regulations that someone that is actually having rental property would have to do. So it is a big issue, and I'm glad you're staying on top of that, and that's great, so thank you.
And then I will go to my report. As we have had no update on the roundabout as yet. I have a call in to Eric Beck to see where that stands. We were informed, Mr. Beck and I, that it would be submitted to the state 3 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago. And I've got no update from, and I don't think from Branstad or Carroll whatsoever about it. So I have a call into Mr. Beck, Eric Beck, I'm sorry, to say, hey, where's the standing? We need to know what's going on, because we've got to get, as Paul Beck knows, we've got to get a shovel in the ground on this project soon, or we might be fighting to keep that funding. So we're really trying to put a full court press on everybody, and the best we can do. A grant's been submitted to the Ohio Department of Natural Resources to assist us with the property acquisition for the park that is going to be at East Miami and Buffalo Ridge. I don't know if you've been down that way, but the trailer is just about completely off the property we just purchased. It's been dismantled, and they were working down there today to get the skirt foundation out of there and insulation and things like that. So, and I know you told me that you were down there also.
Yeah, I was down there Monday.
We also will have a grant submitted to the Ohio Department of Commerce for cemetery maintenance, repairs, and training. It's due on August 1st. I will update you on that. I have to get with Mr. Miller and get exact acreages on our cemeteries and those kind of things, so we can submit for that grant, which will help us pay for the maintenance of our cemetery facilities. So I'll be working with Mr. Miller on that. We had a nuisance complaint, actually 2 nuisance complaints, that were filed on 3069 Shady Lane, which if you go down that way, you see the big green Tyvek wrap house down there that's never had any work done on it forever. I actually thought it was painted that way until I went down there and took pictures. So they're up at midnight tonight, so I'll have a resolution for you at the next meeting to go in and to abate the nuisance, the high weeds and debris and garbage and everything else. I also asked in a separate letter, or in a separate letter to them, if there's any update on, or if they're ever going to return to the property. And I also received another complaint from a woman who lives in the condos behind that property, who informed us yesterday, that this gentleman used their electric and water while he was doing the construction and promised to pay the bills and has not, as of yet, paid any of those bills. So
Is there a bank involved, or it's just a contract?
there's,
Not that I'm aware.
it's just a contractor. I literally just got his phone number today, and I'll make contact with that individual tomorrow. They did sign for their, certified mail, and, but then that latest complaint from, one of the ladies that lives in those condos, we didn't know anything about it until yesterday, right? Yesterday or today? 2 days ago, I'm sorry. And so we're trying to reach out on a couple ends and say, you know, this could turn into civil litigation and all that, to try to get her reimbursed for the electric and the water that she lent them. But unfortunately, there's no contract, there's no anything like that. So we're just trying to facilitate anything we can do to get, one, get the property abated, two, to find out where the construction stands, and three, to get these people reimbursed for their water and electric. So working it from 3 different angles on that.
Thank you for your efforts there.
There were 2 proposed organizational charts in your email, and they are also attached to your my administrator's report for your consideration. There were several suggestions at the last meeting that went into these latest ones for your perusal and potential approval. I've also attached the Ohio Revised Code laws regarding overtime, which is 4111.03 and 4111.031. Those code sections specifically name townships and are guidelines for what is overtime and what is not overtime. The reason I'm giving you those is so when I propose an overtime policy at the next meeting, you know where the background is coming from. So it's primarily from those 2 Ohio Revised Code statutes that have to do with townships, county governments, city municipalities, and that. I just want to give that ahead of time in case there's any question when you get that overtime procedure, what sources that I'm using to develop that. And sorry I went a little long, but that's my report for tonight.
Great.
One question. The property that they're demolishing the trailer down on East Lime River Road
Yes.
for the park,
Yes,
was that put out for bid, or that's just people
it
in
was
there?
purchased
It was-
by
The demolition was put.
Oh, the demolition.
Was not put out for bid because it was done by the homeowner.
Homeowner.
And we put it in the contract when we purchased the property, that she was responsible for the demolition and removal.
So you're gonna have to watch that and stand and hold on it that it's cleaned up 100%?
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, you've seen it.
Yeah, I was out there Monday, and Dan was out there today. So they're doing a good job on that.
Yeah, they got it down, it's just, are they gonna clean it up?
Yeah, so. It's supposed to be
It was-
100% removed,
Okay.
so,
Yeah, that was a part of the contract of the purchase
Yeah.
of the property. Yes.
yeah.
All right, thank you.
All right, any more questions for Mr. Reid? All right, thank you, Dan.